they don't care for risk. Right. They want a done deal. PE take really stable, amazing companies and then make them unstable. They don't hate capitalism. They just hate being somebody else's cost center. They hate being so metric driven, as you were saying.
You're listening to Burn, Rain, and Bullshit,
The show where founders, suits, and corporate clowns all get called the fuck out.
where Josh Robinson and Mike Nathan, entrepreneurs turned VCs.
With zero filters, strong opinions, and a bullshit detector set to high.
Welcome to the only business podcast that actually tells it like it is.
I'm a desperate man. Send lawyers, guns, and money. This shit has hit the fan.
Well, Josh, what's the name of the song for Hunger Games? It's
The Hanging Tree.
The Hanging Tree. Should we have that? I know Warren Zevon is our favorite to play intro and outro. Maybe we do that one?
We can have that playing in the background. You know, if Spotify gets as mad at us for stealing Warren Zevon's song, Send Lawyers, Guns, and Money, they're really going to get pissed about stealing The Hanging
Why do
Tree.
they hate cool songs? Is that it's copyright stuff?
Copyright stuff, you know. So, but yeah, we can try it. You know what?
See what we do.
You know what? Fuck Spotify.
So we're talking Hunger Games of private equity, PE in the common vernacular, vampires and other circles.
According to some.
Some people. Not us, of course. Not us, of course.
No.
We should probably start with what the hell is PE, private equity? I know people hear it. They think they know what it is.
Yeah.
Want me to take a stab at it?
Go for it.
To walk through some of our legions of fans that are tuning in, waiting with bated breath. So PE, private equity. So that is an organization. It looks different than venture capital, but don't confuse the two. As a contrast, venture capital is an investment organization. They're investors, and they're going to put money into, likely, almost always, a very new early startup, unproven business model, unproven team, unproven tech, maybe all of those or one or two of those.
Yeah.
And they're going to bet on a risky thing to get a really big return, 10, 15, 20, 100.
And are likely taking a minority non-controlling interest in the
Likely.
company.
That's right.
Almost always.
Almost always. Would be very rare. And so that's the broadest sense of it. You don't really have a track record, and I need money. Venture capital is likely your best source for that, because those are the sort of investments they love. That's That's venture capital. Private equity is the other end of that spectrum. They don't care for risk.
Right.
They want a done deal. They want to see a company with 10 years of profitability and good profitability, good numbers, a certain percentage. Every PE is different, and they likely want it in a specific sector, like healthcare. I like manufacturing, whatever it is. Maybe it's even regional. And private equity comes in, and they either want to buy all of you or most of you. Yeah. 51%. And they may not get rid of everybody on your cap table. So they'll take 51%. So they'll buy you, Josh, if you're the founder. A private equity guy will come in and either take you all the way out, or I'm going to buy 51%. So if your stake was worth 10 million, I'm going to give you 5.1, keep you on my cap table, and now I run things. Cool, right? And so what PE then does is takes that really low risk, or what would assume low risk, good cash flow, healthy company, good systems, all the stuff. And in order to help even minimize their risk even more, they're going to take that beautiful cash flow that you have, likely, and they're going to borrow against it and say to the bank or whoever's lending the money, hey, I'm going to borrow as much as I can, and I'm going to put some amount of money back into the company for a growth initiative. The other bit I'm going to probably put in my pocket to pad my return or de-risk this. Now, the company, why would they do that? Well, it de-risked it for the 51% or more owner, and they have the cash flow to pay the note on the money they just took out, but now you're almost back to square one as a company. You better not slip up on a quarter. You need the second quarter to hit, the third quarter, because if you miss those note payments, those loan payments, everybody gets squirrely. They don't want to have to pay for it. The company needs to pay for it. And so they do that. Then they leverage the shit out of it They actually do grow the company. Then they sell everything later. They get rid of the note, and they're up percentages quite a bit, right? So that's the model. So as you can see in this scenario, VC, high risk, high reward, PE, I'm coming for your blood. I'm not losing a penny ever. Mm-hmm. Would you say it any way differently?
No. And I would say 51% can happen. Typically, they're buying the whole company. And they'll carve out some percentage for previous owners that are staying on as management, so they're still invested in it. But they, by far, have the vast majority of the cap table is this private equity group. They do leverage it. The reason why is if you buy a company for total enterprise value of, say, $100 million, and you borrow $80 million to do it, so you got $20 million of your own cash in it, and you double the value of that over the next 5 to 10 years. So now you sell it for $200 million, right? You got $100 million in profit, but you only put $20 million in cash in.
There's an equation. Is that IRR? What is
yeah. So I mean, you're 5 timesing your money on invested capital. That's pretty good.
Pretty good deal.
Now, if you put the whole $100 million in cash and sold it for $200 million, now you're only doubling your money, right? Mm-hmm. And so that is why private equity will leverage these deals, is to juice their return. That's the deal. Now, if things go wrong, it has as big of an amplifying or multiplying of effect in the negative, right?
That's right.
And so that's the risk in all of this. And so that's where the Hunger Games comes in terms of it is very metric driven. You have to hit your numbers because you have to grow. You have to increase the bottom line. You have to increase the top line. You do it organically. You do it, acquisitively by doing, they roll it up. They buy more companies that are same or similar to yours or adjacent and can have, some type of crossover effect in terms of the product and service you deliver. It is very intense, very deliberate, and focused on outcomes because it has to be. Mm-hmm. If you miss, to your point of you miss a quarter, it can have some really disastrous effects.
Well, some of your financing put in place is going to be driven by the company's financial health.
I would say almost all of it is going to have some type of financial covenants around it. Yeah, whether it's your debt to equity, your cash return, all of that is going to be micromanaged, not just by the private equity fund. They're interested in it for all the reasons that they are, but they're also interested in because the bank is crawling up their ass. Yeah. Or the non-traditional lender, whoever's lending the money is all over this as well.
Critique my take, if you will, or agree with it. Prefer if you agree, but likely it's going to be a critique. PE take really stable, amazing companies and then make them unstable again and make them sing for their supper every quarter.
Largely
true.
It's largely true.
I view it as it's a destabilizing event for the company. That's where PE does take risk.
Yeah.
They just bought up a beautiful company. You said borrowed against it. They're going to leverage. They're going to do a bunch of other stuff. And that's the risk. So now we got to perform. Mm-hmm. Would you critique or agree with any of that?
I generally agree with it. I don't think private equity should get blamed as aggressively as they do for that.
Okay. One thing before we get into today's topic, because most founders don't realize this episode actually starts 5 years before the PE call. We're about to spend a half hour on what happens when private equity gets a hold of your company. But here's the part nobody tells founders. The reason most operators end up with a strip mining leveraged buyout is because they raised money badly 5 years earlier. The wrong investors, the wrong terms, the wrong cap table. By the time PE comes knocking for you, you don't have many options. You'll have an exit, but that's why I built the Raise Academy at Imperial Ventures. Not only does it teach you step-by-step how to raise money for you and your new idea or your new business, it's how you fund your company without setting yourself up to get squeezed later. We offer a course for you to learn independently. I'll help you coach along, or we have a team that can help you do it done for you. I've raised over $55 million across 20 plus ventures, 3 exits, and I've made every mistake in this category, so you don't have to. Go to imperialventures.com, check out the Raise Academy, and hit the Get Started button. If today's topic churns your stomach, the answer isn't avoiding capital. It's taking the right capital the right way. Always remember, owning is greater than earning.
And here's why.
Weird that you're coming to the defense.
Well, and I am a recovering private equity guy, right? So I've got a little bit of a bias here. But
Hi, Josh.
a lot of times you are buying a really great company that's stable, but you're also buying a company that is probably family-owned, multi-generation, a little bit sleepy, right? They're doing $25 million a year. They're putting a couple million in the bank.
Should be doing 40.
Right. They're comfortable with the lifestyle that they have around that. This is really just an exit for them because, Junior doesn't want to buy it. I need to get out of this. So private equity is a really good exit path for them. And, they were doing 25, should have been doing 40. Maybe should have been doing more, right? But they were comfortable where they are at. So that is a really difficult corporate culture to step into. And then say, okay, now we are profit focused.
Yeah.
We are growth driven.
It's a culture shift.
It is a culture shift. So in my mind, that is as much on the previous owners and the previous management and the company itself as it is on the private equity.
Not bad. But there's a reason. So you're right. Culture, people always bitch about a change in culture. Or there's a shift in direction of the company. New owners, same owners, doesn't matter. We have this listed as the Hunger Games because there's a connotation out there. There's a vibe that, PE is vampires. They just bloods. And the reason people get emotional about it is they don't hate capitalism. They just hate being somebody else's cost center. They hate being so metric driven, as you were saying, now all of a sudden. So when I'm, I've been VP of ops for 30 years with, Uncle Jared, and now the suits from New York came in and bought us. Now they want me to show up every day on time. Now they want me to report these.
They actually want me to work?
They want me to update something called the dashboard. And tell them what's going on every day. What the fuck is this? And then what turns out is you missed one quarter. Then they fired half your team or fired you. And then everybody gets squirrely. PE, they're the worst.
Yeah.
And they kind of are. But
well, and they're
But-
some of these examples are a little bit dated, meaning they're close to about a decade old now. But they were really big headlines, and I think these examples are in the back of people's minds still. One is Toys R Us. So Bain took them private. I think for like $6 or $7 billion, leveraged the shit out of it. And it was almost all debt. They had $400 million a year in debt service payments.
holy gods. That's
And
a
they,
big number,
spoiler alert, they weren't really generating that much cash. So, how you look at them like objectively, like, well, how the hell did they ever expect them to pay that? Because they didn't even have that much cash before the deal. So how would they ever pay that off? Right. So there's that kind of stuff. They sold all the real estate and took that cash out that way. And of course, they had no extra capital to invest into what was happening in terms of e-commerce and just shifting. Right. So they, of course, went bankrupt. Massive story. Bain, I don't know how much they made, but I know they didn't lose their ass on it. Right. So awful outcome for the company. Bain's still doing real great. Right. So I think examples like that. Sears is another one. I mean, 100 years ago, Sears was.
Did Bain do Sears too?
No, that was a different outfit. But they went private for like $11 billion, almost all debt. Then they combined with Kmart. Same thing. They sold off
right, the Kmart
all the
thing.
real estate and took the cash payout for that. Really strapped the company down. Had nothing to invest into e-commerce, all the things that were shifting in the world. And Sears, which honestly, we're not old, but we're not super young.
51.
We're young enough, but in our lifetime, Sears was
a big deal.
a big deal. And now it doesn't even exist.
Do you remember making your Christmas wish list with the
Sears Christmas catalog?
It was
Right.
Sears and J.C. Penney's. I mean, that was variety.
Yeah.
You had both to pick from. It's the best.
I mean, I circled every goddamn thing in there, right?
We had, because my brother and I had to share one, so we had to write them down on our own notepads.
Yeah.
Page 3, item
Yeah.
E.
Yeah.
You know,
E2.
I want the G.I. Joe super carrier.
Yeah.
Pretty pleased with sugar on top. Been a good boy.
Santa, please.
Yeah, that was variety.
But I mean, that was not that long ago, and it was a massive deal. It was one of the biggest, it was the crown jewel of American capitalism
100%.
at one point in our lifetime. And look what happened. And so
The only thing survived were those fucking tire centers. Remember that?
Yeah.
I remember hearing about that. They
Yeah.
were the only one that were continually busy. People would show up and they were profitable.
Yep. And so I think private equity gets a really bad rap because of those big headlines where they did do the wrong thing. No one can defend what they did there. Yeah. It didn't turn out. And oh, by the way, they didn't lose their ass, but it was an awful outcome for the company. So that I think puts a really bad taste in people's mouth around private equity. I've done some private equity in my career.
Confession?
Well, here's an example. This is another retail one. I won't say the name of the brand, but it was kind of a boutique style clothing retailer geared towards young and middle-aged women, females.
You're an expert in all that.
I mean, right? I mean, if you want to talk about
Subject
young
matter.
female fashion, who better to go to than this guy, right? But the company was not doing great pre-COVID.
Mm-hmm.
COVID, like it did to many things, completely blew up its model.
Yep.
Company went bankrupt. And so the private equity organization I was with was focused on distressed assets. So this was perfect for what we were doing. We bought this company out of bankruptcy for pennies, leveraged it, and probably about 2/3 of the deal was financed. They had, call it, 700-ish storefronts, going into bankruptcy. We restructured the real estate deals, got it to probably 300 storefronts.
Wow.
Hit profitability.
That's still a nice size of an organization.
Still a good size, right?
I know you said it was 700, but that's still great.
Still, right? Now, for the 400 stores and the staff that were in there, life sucked,
Yeah.
right? And so you don't want to dismiss that, but at the same time, it would have been the staff at 700 stores losing their jobs had we not come in and done this. Plus all the people at corporate, merchandising, supply chain,
All the stuff, yeah.
all the stuff. So it returned to profitability within one quarter. Really great success story. We peeled out, the whole value of the deal was probably about $15 million. We peeled out that plus some in cash distribution by the second quarter.
The second quarter.
Mm-hmm. So wildly successful deal. The private equity firm made a boatload of money, and the LPs were incredibly happy about it. And there's an angle there to say, you guys are vampires. You came in, bought it for pennies on the dollar, shut down over half of it, and then start scooping up the cash.
Was there a bankruptcy step in here?
We bought it out of bankruptcy.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I was ahead of
Yeah, so the bankruptcy proceedings happened prior to that. We bought it from the court out of there. So, we didn't take it into bankruptcy. We took it out.
Yeah. So you're the good guys. Kind of.
That's how I like to think about it, right? I mean, if not for us doing that, the alternative would have been the entire organization would have went under.
Yeah. So this is building on what you just said. There are times when you look like a douchebag with the Sears and with this smaller one.
Yeah.
You kind of saved those. Hey, it was going out. It was in bankruptcy. Good luck, everybody else, with that sort of thing.
What are you going to do?
Well, what you could do is find some smart cats who know how to leverage and use.
Well, and this was at the same time, too, where it was doomsday for all of the malls. Remember this? All the malls are going to shut down. And now a lot of them are doing great. Some of them did shut down because they didn't need them.
They rebounded some. Yeah.
But the ones that stayed are doing fantastic now.
Love that.
And, so think about all of the malls that this store was in that they would have all went out if it completely went out of bankruptcy.
Yeah. So when you think about, I am getting ready to sell my company. I'm selling my 10-year-old, 20-year-old company. It's been profitable amazingly. It is a really cool deal, and P's backing up the truck.
Mm-hmm.
Just they got all the cash they're ready to give to me. What are some of the questions I want to ask a P to determine, do I have good guy savior people coming in? Like, are they going to take care of my company? I get the play. They're going to do all the things they're going to do with my company.
Yeah.
And some of them, and we're giving the worst light of this, but there are some that are going to legitimately, I love the health of this business.
Yep.
I love it. I can do all the leverage buyout stuff. I still can do it. They are poised for growth, for a set of conditions. Who knows why? New tech, new product, new service. They're going to go, and I'm going to reap the growth and all the things to do it. And then there's the vultures who are going to sell it for pieces and eventually lay everybody off.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do as a founder when, hey, these people helped build my family business for 20 years. I don't want to screw them. What are questions you ask to sort of figure out, do I have the good guys or the bad guys?
Yeah. Well, the first thing you need to understand is whether you've got a good guy or a bad guy, doesn't matter in the sense of whoever's going to buy it, they want to make money on it.
Sorry. One more time for the listeners in back. They're going to want to turn a profit, gang.
Right. They're going to want to make money. So their goal is never going to be just buy it and let it keep doing what it's doing. Right? 20 million a year. You're kicking off a couple million in EBITDA. We're great with that. We're going to buy that and just sit there. That is never going to happen. So go into the conversation eyes wide open, knowing that they're going to want to do something different with it than what you were doing. It may be strip it down for parts.
More or less, right? They might want to do way, way more. And
Right.
also way less or different direction.
Right, exactly right. So go into it knowing that that is going to be the reality. Then, if you just point blank ask them, hey, are you going to strip this for parts? Are you going to fuck over everybody that's ever helped me build my business? They're not going to tell you the truth if you just ask them that, right? They're going to tell you what they think you want to hear to get the deal done. So the better way to do it, I would argue, is do research on the firm that's approaching you. How have they done other deals?
Yeah.
And then go through it, and you can weed out that way of, hey, that doesn't look like the approach I want to see happen
that's
with my
not
company.
legacy,
I'm not going to have that conversation. These guys seem to be doing things the way that are consistent with how I would want to see my business. I'm going to talk to them. Then ask them questions specifically about deals that they've done. Hey, why did you go this direction with company ABC? And why did you go that direction with company XYZ? And really get a sense of how they think about the business. And then you'll have a better sense of, okay, how do I go deeper with them on how they're going to be thinking about my business?
One of the things, I'd love your take on this because, again, your experience in this area is so valuable. And me getting fucked over by other people is quite wide. So so I want to share, I ask, because when we think about PE, so let's say it wouldn't be uncommon if I'm the CEO, founder guy or gal, 20 years of great service, do other things. They likely want me to roll some part of my equity into the new deal.
Almost always.
Because they want to keep me tucked in, keep me apart. So how do I know? So a couple, like, as a founder, what do I need to think about? Like, I want to make sure I have the same fucking shares they have. They're the class of shares or class of units, whatever you're doing. I want to be right with them. Or if there is a difference, I better know it.
Yep.
Or they better have paid for it. One of the two, right?
Exactly right.
And so some of those things, so you want to know their plan, not just because you're, benevolent, philosopher king and you want to take care of all your people and your kingdom. You want to make sure you don't get hosed on this thing either moving forward. Yep. Otherwise, get out. Take the whole check and get out if they're offering that, right?
100%.
So when you dig into that it's not just the employees, although I framed the question that way, but are there other things you should be thinking about as founder gal, founder guy selling the PE?
Well, we've joked about this before, how just cold-blooded and dickish I can be about these things, and just think I think through these transactions in a pretty unemotional way. So I go into that knowing this, right?
Yep.
You need to understand that the people that are buying this are also going to be thinking about the transaction, probably more in my methodology than not.
Yeah.
Right? They're going to come to it pretty unemotional. You need to go into realizing, okay, what parts of this am I going to be emotional about? And of those, which ones am I going to actually advocate for? And
Because you probably can control very little of it all.
Right. And if there are 5 things that you're going to be emotionally attached to, you likely are going to be successful in negotiating around one of them. So what's that one that you really, what's the hill you want to die on?
Yep.
What's the one thing you really feel passionate about and want to go after? And then before you even start having the conversations, come to peace with it that you're not going to get your way on the other 4 things that you're emotional about. And feel your feelings about that and do what you need to do to get over that, but don't bring that to the table with them.
It's whenever my kids were growing up in daycare, the thing I loved, I didn't know how to articulate it to my kids, but the daycare helped me. You maybe remember this. You get what you get.
And you don't throw a fit.
And you don't throw a fit. If you're deciding you want to sell and you're going to sell the PE and you die on a hill, but you get what you get and you can't throw it because they're going to write you likely a really big check.
Yep.
Pretty pleased with sugar on top. Shut your fucking mouth and help us move the thing forward.
Yep. And you come to peace with that. And if there's certain things like There are benefits that are unique to your organization that your employees have really seen as value add, and that's a big part of why they're there. And that's the thing, you can be successful on some of these, but again, you can't come to the table and say, okay, give me the big check and don't fucking change anything.
Yeah, that's unreasonable.
It's
that's
unreasonable.
An unreasonable ask.
Exactly right. So figure out what are the one, maybe two things that could be perceived as unreasonable, but if you limit your focus just to those things, they'll probably come to them. And so what are those things that are really, really important to you, and advocate for those early and often, and kind of give up on the other stuff.
Well, let me reverse engineer a scenario for you as we think about founders and investors and people sitting on boards for companies that might be attractive to PE. Not only should you come to terms with they're going to want to do something different, they're going to like what you're doing mostly. Mostly they like the profitability, the stability, the growth maybe even. But they're going to be adding, subtracting, doubling down on, eliminating, whatever it is. Build that into your model. Know years in advance, if this is the path you're going on, don't just show up with your business broker one day or your M&A attorney. Say, hey, yeah, we should point out to them we're doing this. No, you should create some capacity for that, or have a real working sort of SWOT analysis of, hey, the reason why your number's low is because you haven't thought about we can distribute in China. I'll let you do that, but you better price that into this deal, right? You know something's going to change. Hey, I know we've said for a while we don't need the call center. We're going to get rid of that. That's going to add $5 million to EBITDA. So let's think about that, because otherwise I'll just I'll do it myself.
Right.
And then you come back to me in a year and pay me so let's figure that out. So I think that's the other part of emotionally get ready for that to happen. Part of that preparation is you should be thinking about that in advance and putting, teeing that up for them, serving them up to those PE vendors. And they sort of won't care because they're still going to get the value.
Yeah.
They're still going to get the upside. The founder, he or she, is just pointing that out to you.
I would argue if you go through that exercise pre-sale with a private equity group and you can't get yourself to do it, you're likely not ready for private equity.
That's right.
Right. You as a person aren't. Maybe your company is, but you as an individual are not ready to go through that experience.
One thing before we keep going with this episode, because every week I get the same DM and you've probably sent some version of it. And it says some flavor like this. I have an idea. I've been working on it for a while. I'm not sure when to start. Here's what I tell every one of those people. The thing standing between you and starting isn't information. It's a system. That's why I've built the Impero way at Impero Ventures. This is the operating system for those going from idea to an actual customer, actual revenue, without burning 2 years trying to figure it out alone. The course if you want to learn from just that, coaching if you want to learn from me walking you through it, or there's a done for you option as well if you'd rather have us execute it. I've got 20 plus ventures under my belt, 3 exits worth of mistakes, packaged so you don't have to make them. Go to imperoventures.com, the Impero way. Stop pitching, start shipping. You've heard me say it before. This is how you actually do it. Let's get back to the show.
One of our partners in our venture firm, Brian Kippers, has made his career fantastic career in private equity. On the sell side.
Yeah.
Right. He was the founder.
Oh, that story. I love it. Yeah.
So he had an organization, Apex Revenue Services. Is that the right? I got that
Started
right?
off as a printer, turned into a software company. It's a great story.
Yeah. He was printing.
Let's have him on and have him tell that story.
We should.
Great.
We should talk about this with him. He's coming on next time we film. He's coming for a few episodes. So we'll circle back on this.
With printers in his garage.
Yeah, printing statements for healthcare systems.
Yeah. Cool story.
Got it digital. He sold that company 4 different times to 4 different private equity groups, and he took a stake a little bit each time and rode with it. But he sold it 4 different times to 4 different private equity groups.
And made money every single time because they liked him.
Boatloads of it.
And he was the CEO to the end.
Until
they went to the very, very billion-dollar company. Like, we sort of don't need you anymore.
Yeah. And
Which is great. Don't threaten him.
But he again came at it with, these are the 1 or 2 things that are super important to me that I know need to live on.
We got to get him on.
The rest of this, what do you guys want me to do with it? And we joke about how frugal he is. Cost conscious he is. He is ruthless with an income statement.
Yeah.
He's been on a board of a company that you and I've managed
We're
before.
familiar. We're familiar.
And it's fantastic to see that. But so if you don't have that kind of mindset or mentality as a founder, as an owner, as a management team, then private equity is going to feel like the Hunger Games to you.
Yeah.
It's going to be ruthless. It's going to be brutal. And again, go into it knowing that.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you can't accept it, probably not the right exit path for you.
Yeah. And that his story is so crazy because what we're not talking about is what are the possibilities? Because the little fish are eaten by the bigger fish. And so he went to a small one. That small one did great. He grew. Another one said, hey, I like what you're doing. Gobbled him up.
Yeah.
Still performed.
Combined it with something
And he was
else.
the CEO the whole time. Kept
Yeah.
stacking wins. And then eventually he went out. So it's not the Hunger Games, really. I know it was for clickbait, the Hunger Games scenario here, but I think we're landing that peas, teddy bears, rainbows, unicorns. What could go wrong?
So in the course of a half hour, you've turned into loving PE. That's amazing.
Ish.
Hey,
they don't lose money. Not very often. They do well.
All right.
Lawyers, guns, and money.
Hunger tree. Or no.
Tree.
What is it? The hanging tree?
Hanging tree.
Hanging tree.
Yeah, the hanging tree. I don't know the words to that song.
You got the melody, though.
Yeah. That's what I get the rhythm, the melody. Really an artist. An actor.
Thespian.
Acting!
That's good.
That's right.
That's it for this round of Burn Rate and Bullshit.
Well, the only thing we sugarcoat is our coffee.
If you liked what you heard, great. If you didn't, even better.
Hit like and subscribe and send this to a founder getting love bombed by PE associates right now. And remember, hype dies, execution wins. Don't just take the check, read the model.
Next time on Burn Rate and Bullshit, your best people aren't quiet quitting because they're lazy. They're doing it because your org runs on heroes instead of systems, and they finally did the math. If your culture depends on a handful of people eating every broken process, you don't have a high-performing company. You have a ticking clock.
Send lawyers, guns, and money. This shit has hit the fan.